there's so many reasons why someone could be experiencing acne. Again, it's just a symptom, right? I don't really care that you have acne. I care about what's causing the acne. And it could be so many different things.
I'm Brittany Lane, your host of the Energize Effect podcast. I was convinced that success, freedom, and happiness weren't for people like me. That if I wasn't born into wealth or didn't have the right connections, I'd never really make it. But after I had my daughter, I started questioning every single belief that told me I wasn't good enough. And what I've learned is that the biggest thing that kept me from my dream life was me. My limiting beliefs ran my life on autopilot until I broke through them. Now I wake up excited with more opportunities and success than I've ever had, and I want you to feel the same. This podcast is no fluff, no filters, just raw, real conversations about breaking through what's holding you back so that you can wake up every day with an energized belief that anything is possible. Let's get into it.
It's so wild how much our childhood can impact us, but if we're mindful and open to healing and being in those moments, just how much we really can heal and change.
100%. Yeah. And it takes time, obviously, but
Yeah.
I should connect with you about the hypnotherapy because when we have really dysregulated mineral patterns coming back, that is showing chronic stress or trauma. I do recommend you should go do EMDR or some sort of therapy to actually release that emotion. It's obviously not what I do. And I can help you with becoming more aware of it, but then you need to go take the steps to actually process that. We even see this in our one-on-one clients. Like, we're doing all the labs, you're doing all the protocols, you're compliant if I'm taking your word for it, but I can see you're so stressed out that you're not actually healing. You're not getting any better. And it is twofold. Like, you can take the supplements, but if you are so dysregulated, your body's not going to process it. And on the other hand, it's like you can do all the talk therapy, but if your gut's a mess and you're not going to talk your way out of overgrowth of candida. So there's so many, it does go hand in hand. There's so many facets that play into it.
It's like a holistic approach. I believe that so much. And it's like that fight or flight. I feel like when you feel stressed, a lot of people don't even know they're in this fight or flight just from childhood. And it's like they can't even get out of it. And you're producing this dopamine, and it's so interesting. So we're definitely gonna be talking because this goes so hand in hand, and I'm excited to get my labs. So I've always had, for the most part, clear skin. But after my miscarriage last year, I really started experiencing really on my chin and kind of my neck. And this didn't happen in my first pregnancy. So why would that happen in one pregnancy and not another?
Okay, so you said it started after your miscarriage?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's really interesting, but emotions are stored a lot in the lymphatic system. And this is why a lot of people, when they go through a traumatic event, they feel really puffy, or they get really puffy, or they gain weight, because that emotion is stored in the lymphatic system. And I see actually jaw acne, cheek acne, neck with stagnant lymphatic drainage. Because if you think of your major lymph nodes, right, we've got lymph nodes behind our ears, we've got lymph nodes right around our collarbones, under your armpits. So if things are just stagnant and not draining, again, where do they come out? If they're not coming out through your drainage pathways, they're coming out through your skin. So I'll give you some tips to work on your lymph.
I'm literally in shock right now because that makes so much sense.
Yeah.
Because I noticed puffier face, and I'm like, this is weird. What's going on? This is so crazy. Just these connections that are being created, storing that after a traumatic, having a miscarriage, and then it's now presenting physically. Yeah. Okay. So I know we're saying because of a traumatic event, but could it be due to baby sex, our age, or something else too? Or is that mostly from that traumatic event?
I feel like probably the emotions are a big player here. With baby sex, I'm not too sure. That's definitely not my forte. I'm trying to think in the context of maybe estrogen versus testosterone. I know acne obviously is oftentimes a high testosterone issue too. So perhaps with age is a tricky one, because I feel like a lot of us will blame our age for our health. Or sometimes.
I know, that's it.
And the most common thing is, my metabolism slowed down because I'm getting older, so it's harder to lose weight. That's the most common, I don't want to say excuse, but that's the most common thing we see or we hear. And the thing with age is, as we age, we're just subjected for longer periods of time to more stress, more toxins, more shitty food, more alcohol, all the things, right? So it's really just a time thing and not an age thing, if that makes sense.
100%.
So you have just been subjected to more traumatic events or more stress or what have you. So your body just probably needs a little bit more support to make up for it. But if that was the case, everyone who's in their 60s would be unhealthier than everyone in their 30s. And we know that's not true, right?
Yeah.
We know there's very healthy 60, 70, even 80-year-olds because they've taken care of their health. And we know there's people in their 20s who have type 2 diabetes. Yeah, I would say it's not an age thing, it's a time thing.
And I love that you said that too. It's like our mind is such a powerful thing too. It's like it really does whatever you tell it. It's if you're telling it that you have a slow metabolism, then it's actually going to create a metabolism. So it's like being really mindful about what we're telling ourselves. Like I checked in because I literally had a broken leg for 2 years and I wasn't walking, and I'm like, I feel like I'm like, I don't even know how old. And then I'm like, whoa, I'm actually only 36. And when I actually took a step back, I'm like, I'm 36. That's so young. I'm like, but in my mind, I was thinking just like from all that time. So I had to really check in, and that actually changed. All of a sudden I have more of a pep in my step, and I'm sure it's deeper than that, and I'm sure that it takes more, but it's just being really mindful about what we're telling ourselves too.
Yeah, it is your identity. And I have these conversations too with clients because I'm really mindful. I had this really lovely client. She was diagnosed with Lyme disease, and she came to me, and she had been working with another practitioner for 3 years. And when I remember we got on her first call, and it was like the Lyme, and I literally said to her, I'm like, look, for the next 6 months, I don't want you to say the word Lyme. And I'm not trying to gaslight you or anything, but like you have literally made it your entire identity. And this actually happened with my mom. I'm going to call it my mom because she wasn't, sorry, mom, I'd say this to her face, so it's fine. But she, again, was a nurse, loved her job, was very passionate about medicine, all the things. And when I started getting into this and started uncovering other modalities, I guess, you could see she was like, I don't want to say fearful. She was very skeptical, but almost in a way of she didn't want to admit that maybe some of what she believed in was not the full truth for this long. And everything, she would always be, even when she was on long-term disability, which she has been since she was 38, I'm a nurse. Like, she was so proud of it. Even though she wasn't a practicing nurse at that point, she was so proud of it. And when all this started to unravel and the pieces of the puzzle started to come together, she would still cling on to, I have MS.
Yeah.
When I said, Mom, this might be mold illness, my neurologist said I have lesions. I was like, mycotoxins can cause lesions. And then it's like, kind of the next thing that she wanted to grasp onto, because her entire identity as an adult, essentially, was I'm a nurse. I believe in Western medicine. I'm sick. I have all these pills. That's just the way it is.
Yeah.
And she doesn't do it anymore. She like tells everyone now that she like cured her MS. So she has come over that hump, but I could see for a very long time that she was so stuck in that identity she had created for herself that it felt so foreign. I talk about this with my clients too. When chaos feels familiar, you're going to create chaos, right? When you grew up in a very chaotic childhood and things start to feel calm, it's like waiting for the shoe to drop, waiting for the calm before the storm. So let me create stress in my life, whether it's my relationships, whether it's my health, right? And I could see she was so used to, she had a very chaotic and abusive childhood as well. So I could see that she was almost keeping herself in this box of being sick until it was honestly too far along to even, like, you couldn't deny it anymore that she was healthy. So I do see that a lot, where we're telling ourselves this story because we feel so safe in an identity that has been prescribed to us, to be honest. Like, a doctor has said, oh, you have PCOS, so you're just gonna have trouble conceiving, and then guess what, you have trouble conceiving.
Yeah. And it's wild that you say that, because it is so true. I think, like, we also get our needs met by this. So it's like, I see a lot of people that say, oh, I'm sick. But there's a correlation to childhood. When I was sick, mom and dad gave me more attention. So it's okay, now I'm sick as an adult. And they don't want to disrupt that, because it's like, I'm sick and I'm getting attention. And as an adult, and they don't even recognize that there's a correlation to that. But our mind is so powerful that it doesn't really care if you're happy or healthy, but as long as you're getting your needs met, and it'll go about any way doing that. And that is what we do with hypnotherapy. It's so wild. And so many of my clients are like shocked they're like, wow, I came up with this symptom in order to have a need met. And they're just like blown away by it. But it's really fulfilling a core identity. And the fact that you said that with your mom, it's like that having MS was giving her something. And I don't know your mom personally, I don't want to put it, but whether it was attention or she was getting something out of it. And we don't even like know that it's happening. It's not like an actual mental process that I can identify. So
for sure,
it's so interesting that you actually said that it came through.
Yeah. And I'll give one more example too. One of my good friends, we were talking last year, and she had said to me, she's got a 2-year-old, and she was like, I had postpartum depression, and she started learning more about the functional health stuff and what we do. And she was like, I had postpartum depression, but like, I knew I was going to have that. And I was like, then of course you had it. Because you were like literally
ready for it.
And not to say that she maybe would have not had it. Like, of course, maybe you could have had it. A lot of women do. But if you go into your pregnancy thinking like, I'm going to be depressed after I give birth, what do you think is going to happen? Of course.
You're just going to confirm. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. So yeah, it is, our mind is so powerful. And if I hope this resonates with the listeners as well. And self-awareness is your biggest healing tool, honestly, being able to call yourself out on shit, honestly, because no one else can do it for you. You have to really come to that on your own. And you're sitting here thinking, I've been a little bit of a victim to my own circumstances, or I've held on to this diagnosis because, like you said, it's getting some sort of need met that I didn't even realize was happening. And there's so much more empowerment in breaking that and rewriting your story, even if it feels silly or it feels untrue. If you keep telling yourself, eventually, your circumstances are going to align that way. Just like when my thyroid thing happened, I could have easily been like, I'm screwed. Now I'm going to gain weight. Now my hair is going to keep falling out. Like, I'm done. But I was like, oh, this sucks. But I've done it before, so I'll do it again. And look what's happening. I didn't actually really change anything other than getting rid of a little bit of work stress. I still am doing the same thing. I haven't worked on my gut because I'm breastfeeding. Like, I really haven't changed a whole lot in terms of my supplements or my lifestyle. I just had the belief like, my thyroid is healing, and look what's happening.
Thank you for sharing that. That is our belief, and our thought is so powerful. It was so hard to call myself out on shit. Being bullied, there's a very like protective defensive mechanism. And I think that was one of the hardest things, was actually being like, okay, call yourself out. Let's call it what it is. I guess in talking about calling myself out, I used to think that acne was just about washing your face and using good skincare. Like, I literally would see people and I'm like, just wash your face. Like, you guys are like, why? Like, it's a you thing. But now that I've actually experienced hormonal acne firsthand, I realize like how complicated it actually is. And someone actually told me just the other day, like, oh, we'll just use really hot water. And I'm like, if only you knew, if only that were the solution. Yeah, like, I wish, like, so frustrating when people give advice, but I was also that person. So what are some key factors that contribute to hormonal acne?
Yeah, so to your point, here's the clear sign that you need to dig deeper is if the topicals don't work anymore. Or if you go on Accutane and then you come off and your acne comes back, it's deeper, right? Or spironolactone or whatever it is, birth control even. So again, there's so many factors with acne. I'm not acne prone. I have a quite clear complexion. I always have, although I was on birth control for all my teenage years. So who knows if I would have had acne, but I'm like more prone to like kind of rashes and things like that. But I think, again, genetics will play a role, and maybe that's how dysfunction is portraying in your body. It's coming out through the skin. But again, lymphatic, like we talked about, those unprocessed emotions, or just a stagnant lymph if you're not working out, right? The thing with your lymphatic system is it doesn't have a pump. It's not like your circulatory system. You don't have to think about your heart pumping. You actually have to move your lymph or it's going to sit there. And some people, again, genetically are more predisposed to more stagnant lymph than others, and that's why they get puffier when they fly or what have you. So that is going to be something we actually see with skin with a lot of our really severe acne clients. So on my website, we have quite a few really cool transformations of pretty crazy what can happen with severe acne in just a couple months. But a lot of our clients actually have H. pylori. So gut infection, really common because, again, what is H. pylori doing? It's influencing your stomach acid, which is then going to influence how you digest and absorb your nutrients. Yep. So, of course, a nutrient deficiency, if you're not getting minerals and nutrients to the skin, it's not going to be healthy. It's causing inflammation. So again, acne is inflammation we can see. Yeah. Let's find the inflammation we can't see. And then, of course, it's paving the way for higher cortisol, right? Stress hormones. Stress can come from the gut. When we think of stress, or when we hear the word stress, people are like, oh, like meditate or go to yoga or do breath work. Those things are amazing, but stress can come from your gut. Stress can come from all these different things that you can't see. It's still creating stress in your body. So cortisol is a big one. And then again, the gut-liver axis, if you're not processing your hormones properly, then you might start experiencing those hormonal imbalances that can be tied to acne, like high testosterone, for example. So again, there's so many reasons why someone could be experiencing acne. Again, it's just a symptom, right? I don't really care that you have acne. I care about what's causing the acne. And it could be so many different things.
While I have you, I want to ask you a question. Do you know the quickest way to become your most authentic self? The version of you who is capable of anything and feels exhilarating to be. The version of you that calls in wealth, love, and your dream life where anything is possible. Here it is. We usually have a major block that we don't see. But once we discover it and know it, we become aware of it. And that's when we can start to make changes, even unconsciously. So uncover your block to become the best version of you with this free quiz linked in the description. It's the same quiz that's helped me and so many others uncover what's holding us back.
It's like the body is calling out for help. It's probably been calling for so long and you didn't hear. And now all of a sudden it's, okay, if you're not going to listen, I'm going to make you listen. And if you're not going to listen to the acne, okay, so it's like begging for help. It's like literally heal me, pay 100%. Attention to what's going on.
Yeah.
So what are some steps that we could take if we're struggling with acne caused by this gut or hormone imbalances? Are there any specific foods or habits that could help us clear up our skin naturally?
So this is such a hard one because again, everyone is so bio-individual, and this is where you really have to take Instagram advice with a grain of salt, because what works for one person isn't necessarily what works for the next person. So I'll give you a good example. We've all been told that probiotics are good. You see the influencers with the affiliate codes and the probiotics. If you have dysbiosis, if you have an overgrowth of bacteria and now you're taking probiotics, you are literally throwing fuel on the fire. So yes, probiotics could be good for me, but not for you. That's why I always say testing, yes, while it's an investment up front, you're going to save so much time, money, frustration, stress, emotions by just getting the data. Like, just tell me what's actually going on. So I stop having this supplement graveyard in my pantry and all this wasted time and money that probably ends up being more than just doing it to begin with. So I would say stop taking things like probiotics randomly, especially if you've been taking the same strain over and over for 2 years, which a lot of people do. Multivitamins. I love calling out multivitamins and prenatals. They hate to see me coming because, again, going back to our minerals. If you're taking a prenatal that has copper in it or calcium in it, and you have a calcium shell or copper toxicity, you again are taking these doses of vitamins and minerals that don't necessarily give you what you need and could be perpetuating the issue. Now, if you have a terrible diet and you eat McDonald's all the time, do I suggest prenatal? Yeah. But again, the women I tend to work with are very keenly aware. They're very smart. They've done their research, right? And of course, they've invested in getting actual answers for themselves. So I'm never going to put you on a prenatal. Like, we're not going to do that. We need to do what is actually working for you and is going to work for you. In terms of food, bone broth. Bone broth had its moment. Of course, bone broth is healing to the gut and all the things, but it's extremely high in histamine. So women with histamine issues, which a lot of women don't even realize they have histamine issues, anxiety, heart palpitations, sometimes acne, bloating, obviously like rashes and itchiness, all those very histamine common issues, headaches, migraines, we see that a lot. Histamine and estrogen have a connection. Estrogen and copper have a connection. So again, we can see how this turns into kind of a storm of issues that are all perpetuating each other. And then you go and drink bone broth because that influencer had a cute morning routine. Yeah. And now you're in a histamine flare. Yeah. So there's really not one thing I can say other than figure out what's going on with your individual body, because what works for me won't necessarily work for you.
I love that you're so transparent about that, because you could have just said, oh, use like a vitamin E cream. And I love that. And it's so true, because it's like we're so influenced by social media and the amount of money that I've spent on vitamins, but is it even doing anything for us? So that being said, how much is it for you? What do you charge at this time? Because I'm sure if this is down the road, someone's listening, your prices may change. But at this current moment, what does it cost to get these tests done?
Yeah. So I have two main programs. So we have our one-on-one Fit and Functional program. So that is more of a holistic program. You're going to get your Pilates strength training workout program. You get direct access to your practitioner. I call it a practitioner in your back pocket. So we have an app, so you can text as much as you want. So it's really helpful that way, because again, if you've worked with a naturopath, and I'm not trying to like dog on naturopaths right now, but it's, you go for an appointment and then I'll see you in 6 weeks. And all these things come up in the meantime. And then it takes 3 times as long as it should, because there's so many gaps. And I remember when I was working with a naturopath, I like emailed her or actually it was my dad. He was working with a naturopath and he emailed her a question. And the receptionist emailed back and was like, book an appointment. And he said, but I just have one question, which like, I get it. Like I get the boundaries. I respect that. But it's just a difficult business model to really heal in, I don't want to say like a fast amount of time, but it is going to take longer, right? If you don't have that constant support. So unlimited support, you get direct calls with them, you get a group chat, like a whole course. So you're learning. I'm really big on education. I always say, if you're still working with me in 5 years, it better be because you think I'm funny and great and not because I haven't taught you anything or taught you how to like take care of yourself. So that's where we do the GI map testing and the hair tissue mineral analysis. And then give you all your full protocols. So that is $597 a month for 6 months. Okay. And then Renew Your Energy is my group program. So it's 10 weeks. This is where we dig a little bit more into the nervous system dysregulation, the blood sugar balancing. Again, I get a lot of women postpartum in this program because we can do a lot with minerals when you're breastfeeding. And you'll see significant changes in your energy, your mood, your libido, your tolerance. You're not going to snap at your kids as much or your husband. And it's just a very replenishing program. Yes. So that's 10 weeks. It's group, but you still get your hair test and your personalized protocol included, and that's $497.
Okay. So let's say the person that's, okay, wait, I can't afford that. Let's just, because there's some that would be like, that's too much. Do you just do, let's say they just want to get the testing done, maybe like just to see, and then I'm sure once they see the results, they'll want to work with you. But do you just do the testing for someone who's maybe, I can't quite afford that right now?
Yeah, so we do one-off lab intensives. I always give an asterisk with this, and I only very recently in the last couple of months started offering this because honestly so many people were asking me. Yeah. I don't love that model because I truly believe that when you're going through a 3-month gut protocol, things are going to come up. It's not, healing is not linear, as cliche as it sounds, but you might get more gassy sometimes, or you get a headache and you want to figure out why, or you're not jiving with a supplement that you're on. And in our one-on-one program, we're able to tweak things as we go and really customize and make sure that you're optimizing your protocol. If you're just getting a lab off me in a protocol, you're on your own. Yeah. And that's not to say that you can't see significant change. A lot of people do. But again, I don't think you're going to get as good of results, of course, because there's just not as much customization. So we do that, but I always say this is for a very specific person who maybe has done labs in the past and just wants to like recheck on things and knows how to navigate those bumps in the roads without something happening and then them freaking out and being like, I quit, this isn't working. And then you've just wasted money and time, and like it might have just been part of the healing process. So we do offer that, but I always want people to be very aware of, I'm not just here to take your money and then say, see you, good luck. I want you to get the best results. I want you to get amazing results. So it is really for a specific type of person that has a little bit more background behind them. Yeah.
Plus then you get like Jenn, your bestie in your pocket. You get to have that access. You get to text like that in itself too. It's usually when you least expect it, is that when you need the help, you're like, oh my God, 100%. I wish I would have known that. Yeah. I have a question, because like when I was like first experiencing like this hormonal. I didn't really know exactly what was going on, but I went to my doctor. She was on maternity, so there was somebody just covering for her. And I was like, I feel like something is going on with my hormones. Could I get tested? And she's like, no, like we don't really do that. And I'm like, okay, what? I'm like, you don't, but I've heard people do it. So I was like, so confused. So if someone was experiencing, let's just say this hormone acne, and I know that there's so much related to gut, but let's just say they wanted to go to their doctor and get something tested. What would that look like? What would you tell them? Okay, you should get estrogen. What are those things?
Yeah, I would definitely say a CBC, a CMP, your iron panel. We see a lot of iron dysregulation with acne as well, which is really interesting. We could go down that rabbit hole. I never suggest iron supplements because iron is going to feed pathogens. A lot of people are anemic or have iron dysregulation because of parasites and pathogens, and you're just feeding them. So if you're truly anemic, I say go straight to the blood, so it's not going through the digestive system. But an iron panel is really important. Full thyroid panel, which sometimes you have to pull teeth with conventional doctors to get. So TSH, T4, T3, your antibodies. In Alberta, they don't do reverse T3, but in Ontario they do. That's more of a stress-related thyroid marker. And then in terms of your hormones, this is the thing too, is a lot of doctors don't realize that you have to test hormones on certain days.
Yeah.
So estrogen is typically like a day 3, cycle day 3. Testosterone is pretty much any day. Usually you would take it in the morning, do the blood work in the morning. Progesterone, of course, you want to be testing after you ovulate, or else you're not going to have very high progesterone. So usually it's cycle day 19 to 21. You can do FSH and LH. That's more like a fertility marker, or if you have PCOS. Vitamin D, I would get, again, vitamin D. Typically doctors are testing storage vitamin D and not active vitamin D. So then they are saying, oh, you have low storage vitamin D, but it's January. It's of course, because I'm using my stores, right? So then they put you on vitamin D, and then it causes all this dysregulation with your minerals. So I would say, just your complete blood count, your comprehensive metabolic panel, iron, thyroid, and then if you did want to look into like DHEA and testosterone, that will typically be more of those androgens that can cause the hormonal acne, if you will.
I think that's so helpful already, because you literally just gave it day by day. So if your doctor's, I don't know what day, because that's literally what this acting doctor was like, your hormones change, so there's not really a time frame. So I think that's so helpful if the doctor says that, then you can actually piece that or go based on that information. So let's just say, I know we've talked about there's could be so many things that are going on within, but let's just say that it is a hormonal thing. What would we look at our blood work for these hormone tests that could indicate what's going on? Because I've heard people say, oh, I have high estrogen, low estrogen. What would we be looking at specifically that could indicate this breakout?